Here is your Turnitin assignment inbox where you can view your assignments. You can get an overview of the class, of the percentage in the class, here in the similarity column. Hopefully you won't ever see anything as bad as this, and what I will say is that if you do see lots of 100% matches or high percentage matches, this usually means that there's been a duplicate submission of the work, usually by the same student. So this could have been an administration error, or a student could have uploaded somewhere else to a final submission point, causing a match. And this isn't a problem, you can filter this out. However, sometimes it might not be the case. It might be that a student has submitted another student's work from a previous year, from another class, from another institution. And that would need investigating if that is the case. But what I'm going to show you here is just what we will see most of the time when you run a student's work through Turnitin, because the majority of students are honest, and what you'll usually get is something like this paper here. So if we have a look here, it's 19% if we click on that. This will take us into the feedback studio, and we have from this point we can look at the originality report. Now there is a couple of layers in the feedback studio. There's the grading layer, which we don't use here at the University of York, and there's the similarity layer. So these blue icons refer to the feedback that you can give using GradeBark, but as I said, we won't be using those. What we're mainly looking at here is this originality layer. So the first thing to do is click 90. The percentage there, click that number, and this will give you a match overview of the main sources. So there are a couple of icons here that I'll run through in this video just to show you what each of them do. As we can see straight away, we've got this 19%, and that's the complete text match of the document. So 19% of this document is matching to the Turnitin database of online resources. We can see here, number 1, this is represented here over on this side, and if we click on that, what we can see is that this has been submitted to the University of York as well. Now overall we can see there's a 2% match there, and what this is that usually the cover sheets will match in the document. So that's fine, that's going to match across, especially if students are using the same cover sheet. There's a 26 here as well, so if we scroll down here and click that, we can see that this is matching to another text. So you've got the 19% here, which is the match overview. If you want to see all individual matches, you can use the All Sources button. This can sometimes be useful, especially if there's a match to another student paper, such as this one, submitted to Nottingham Trent University. We can see that match there. It's just the title and the author of a poem, so probably they're doing a similar assignment at Nottingham Trent University. However, if you want to see this paper, you'll need to send a request to the university. But it's not always necessary to do that. You can usually investigate further and find a number of different sources which match to the same thing. So use that as a last resort. So that's another option down there. Another one we can use is the filters. So if we click on filters and settings here, what we can do is we can exclude the quotes, bibliography. So if we check these buttons there, exclude quotes and exclude bibliography. We can also exclude matches of less than 1%, or you can put matches of anything in there, but usually 1% is a good indicator, or matches of less than 10 words. It really depends on what you want to do. Now I don't use these myself, I prefer just to have a raw report with a percentage on, because sometimes some of the matches, even the small matches, can indicate deeper problems. But if you wanted to use these filters, feel free to explore them. So if we do that, if we apply the changes, what we'll notice here is that the match comes from 19% down to 6%. Then we're getting more of a good idea. Now, when applying these filters, we should have been excluding the quotes, but actually the quotes work on an algorithm. And it might not necessarily work if they're not double quotations. So here we can see there's a single quotation and a single quotation. If that was double quotations, anything within that would be excluded from the match. So that hasn't quite worked, the filter hasn't quite worked. But what we do find here, if we go down, it has excluded the bibliography. So we can see the effect of the filter here if we just reinstate the bibliography there. We've reinstated the bibliography, and then the match has gone back up there to 19%, and we've got all of these things matching. But that's fine, the bibliography should match, especially if it's been formatted correctly. Another button we have here is the exclude sources. At the moment, nothing is excluded from the report. So what we can do is we can click on the 19 again. That's going to pull things up. So for example, this 1% matching to the cover sheet, you might want to have that excluded. You can click on the right hand button there, click exclude sources, and check all of the ones submitted to the University of York. If you know that they're the cover sheet, we click that, and it's come down to 17% because that 2% has been removed. And if we click on excluded sources, we can see all of that, and we can actually restore all of them as well. So now it's gone back up to 19%. So those filters can be useful, especially if you have a misconduct case and you want to remove any of the non-problematic matches. But most of the time, to be honest, I don't use the filters, especially if you're just viewing a report, and if it seems fine, you've checked, the quotes are highlighted, the rest is highlighted, you can just get on with marking it. So just have a quick look through the work, and if you start to see any further problems, you can use Turnitin to investigate, and that is really where it's valuable. It's going to save you time there. Another button here is the download button, so if we click on that, if you download the current view, that will include all the highlighted text and the match overview at the bottom of that document. So that will download a PDF, which is useful if you're exploring a misconduct case again. You can download the digital receipt for the document, and also you can download the originally submitted file. So this will be just the document that the student submitted, usually a Word document. Another button we have here is the information, and you can just see the submission ID for the paper, the date it was submitted, time, for example, file name, this sort of information. So it can be quite useful. And also, if you are wanting to mark your work on an iPad, which you can do, and it's quite useful to do that, you can generate a code there, which will then allow you to view the work in your iPad app. So if you want to investigate that, then definitely get in contact with me at integrity@york.ac.uk, and we can look into that. A final button here is just to zoom in and zoom out there, and you can go to full screen mode as well. So a number of different features which are useful there. So you open up an assignment, you click the right hand button here on the percentage. We can see that overall this is a 19% match, and then just scroll down through the paper to check if anything stands out, anything problematic. So first of all, we can see the first match, 27, so we can correlate that with down here, number 27. If you wanted to explore that, click on that. You can click the website. You can also click this button here to view full source view, and we can see the matches there. And you can see that this first match is there. You can click through the matches in the text, and that's quite useful because you can see the whole text in that right hand column. This one doesn't seem problematic to me. Poem and the name of a poem. No problems there. So we just come back to the full source view. Again, King Charles to the throne. Just a slight match there. Less than 1% because it's number 32. It's quite far down. Another one here, apocalyptic expectation was used to understand. This is a fine, it's a quote, and it has a footnote. So actually, with this paper, as I said earlier, most of the papers are fine. They just match what you would expect to match, the quotes, bibliography, and any source text that they're using. In this case, they're using a poem, and this matches here. So this matches to the Poem Hunter website. We can click on that. We can see where it's matching, have a look at the website. or use the full source text view, and we can have a look there and scroll down and see where it appears in the context of the website. And what we find here with this paper is that most of the matches are just quotes, for example. They have referenced these. Another quote there with a footnote. The poem again. So these are just legitimate matches that you would expect to see in a paper. And finally, yep, another quote there. And if we go down to the bottom, what we'll find is we have the bibliography, and that matches. So that accounts for the 19%. The rest is the student's own work. And once you get used to interpreting the Turnitin report, once you've seen a few of them, you'll start to notice that the majority of work is fine, and any problematic work, either poor practice or academic misconduct, will stand out.